Hello everyone, today we'll be talking about a movie which is based on true events, The Soldier Boy. Can you imagine a 6-year-old boy on the battlefield? How did he get there? Where is his family? And most importantly, who is he? Let's head into the video to find out. But before we begin, spoiler alert. The film begins in Russia, where a family of 3 is sitting by a river. As German fighter planes unexpectedly swoop overhead, the youngest of them, Sergei Oleshkov, brags to his mother and older brother about being on top of a tree. The mother orders her children to run and hide in the bushes, but the 6-year-old insists he is not afraid and shoots a slingshot at the plane. To everyone's shock, he succeeds in hitting the jets and detonating them. He turns to look, but his family has disappeared. The scene then cuts to his house, where the little boy is sleeping alone. When the child hears someone banging on the door at this time, he runs to respond to her, thinking it's his mother, but he is shocked to see his Aunt Anisia. The lady is terrified and orders the boy to collect his belongings to go. Anisia tells him that the boy's mother and brother were killed, and if the soldiers discovered that Sergei was her sister's son, they would kill him as well. Her plan was to take the boy and claim that he was her son, but before they can flee, German soldiers invade the home. The woman aids Sergei in escaping through the window, but is shot in the process. Sergei sees his entire neighborhood blazing behind him as he flees the house. He makes unsuccessful attempts to call his mother before leaving the area. He eventually finds himself in the midst of the woods after a time of running. When he is lost, the little child begins to call for his mother to come and retrieve him. He spends the night in the wilderness. The young 6-year-old is now on his own. The next morning, we observed him drinking water from a river as enemy forces came his way. Sergei hastily hid inside a tree's roots after realizing they were dangerous. As a snake emerges, he is terrified but doesn't scream or run. The troops terrify Sergei more than the snake does. Once the soldiers finish their meal by the river and leave, Sergei takes their leftovers and eats them all for the night. Yet, the little lad is worn out at the end of the day. He hasn't eaten properly in 2 days and has been wandering aimlessly. Even though he stumbles and limps, he continues to move forward. He eats some wild berries he sees along the way, but just then, he is caught off guard by an explosion that happens behind him. The boy gets dizzy and starts to hallucinate someone coming behind him. However, even in such conditions, he stands brave and tells the person he has a rifle and is not scared. He limps forward but falls unconscious after a while. A few hours later, he is discovered by 2 Russian soldiers who bring him to the camp, where Sergei is instantly welcomed by Kutsanov, the commander, who asks his men to assist, feed and take care of the youngster going forward. Sergei's wounds are attended to by Katia, a nurse who is also enchanted by his charisma. Because he aspires to be a military when he grows up, the child requests that she draw a tank on his injuries. Even the wounded warriors converse with the child and feel better. The commander's pistol and his badge captivate Sergei. After pulling out the bullets, the commander also responds to the little boy's inquiries and gives him a chance to play with his honorary weapon. Sergei talks about being a soldier and displays the tank that is sketched on his stomach. The youngster is recovering quickly. Seeing all this, Nurse Katia requests the commander to let the boy stay with the troop. However, the commander refuses, stating that it won't be safe. Throughout the day, many people stop over to see him. They give him food that their family sent from afar away, and they even let him use their binoculars. One day, a soldier approaches the commander and requests permission for the youngster to remain with the regiment. The troops have established a deep relationship with the youngster and think of him as their own. The burden of the conflict is lifted by his presence. The commander insists on sending the kid to the orphanage, nonetheless, for the boy's safety. The next day, the enemy attacks, inflicting great casualties on the men. A vehicle comes to fetch Sergei to take him to the orphanage. The commander tells the youngster the news and presents him with a wooden honorary gun. The child hugs the commander back and says he's worried for his safety. In his embrace, the commander melts and changes his mind. Sergei is asked to stay with the troops as the commander's son. The soldiers are overjoyed to have Sergei stay with them as they search for army uniforms for the little lad that evening. Sergei is awakened by the commander, who hands him the clothes. He runs around with them on, appearing to be a real soldier. They begin referring to him as their little soldier boy. The Germans strike the unit from the air while the boy wanders about. The soldiers fight the attackers while swiftly escorting Sergei to safety. The number of troops wounded is rising quickly. Sergei provides water to thirsty troops out of a desire to be useful. One of them, who has a bandage covering his eyes, requests him to read a letter from his family. The young guy wants to assist but is unable to read. He grabs the letter and begins fabricating the contents, saying the soldier's cow is safe at home. The others advise the soldier to accept the narrative and laugh when he claims he doesn't own a cow. He reads everyone else's letters in a similar way to lift their spirits. The commander and Katya might be seen talking in the scene that follows. While they do not express their sentiments, the two appear to be drawn to one another. Eventually, Sergei informs the commander that he is a battalion orderly and begins addressing himself as one. The youngster then witnesses one of the soldier stations being damaged by the assault. He learns from the commander to remove his hat in honor of the fallen soldier. He insists that the commander give him a duty the next day and is given the assignment to distribute the letters to the soldiers. He skillfully completes his assignment and even gets the warriors to dance. The next day, Sergei uses his binoculars to venture a little bit outside of the facility. As he notices a leg moving from a haystack while he is playing with it, he immediately runs back to the regiment and informs the troops of his discovery. Despite their doubts, the troops accompany the youngster. 2 German spies are discovered hidden below as they get close to the haystack, alerting the group. The boy is praised for his intelligence once the spies are captured. The following evening, the commander presents Sergei with the adoption paperwork. The child now has him as his legal father. Sergei takes the commander to confess to Katya since he is aware of the commander's emotions for her. Nevertheless, the two mistakenly believe she is interested in someone else when they see her chatting to a different man. The Germans launch another assault on the facility. This time, Sergei gives the troops his best by giving the men on the front lines ammo, but they order him to return to the shed since it is too dangerous outdoors. The commander and others are frantic when he arrives at the shed because the phone's connection with the colonel has been severed. To fix the damaged lines, a soldier is dispatched. Following the soldier, Sergei observes that he has sustained deadly injuries. He asks the dying soldier's advice on how to repair the cables and carries it out on his own. More troops are called when the link is restored. Everyone's lives are saved by the 6-year-old. The commander and Katya are later seen talking by the river. Finally, the commander tells her how much he loves her and begs her to be Sergei's mother. Before Katya can say anything further, a soldier approaches them and hands the commander a letter stating that they have been transferred from the base. Katya is over the moon at this point. The next day, Sergei and every soldier depart for their new base. Unfortunately, they encounter a minefield along the road, which causes several of their cars to be destroyed. The group's orderly, with whom Sergei had a strong relationship, dies in the explosion while the commander is injured. He sobs while hugging the commander. They travel to their new headquarters while carrying the injured people along with them. When they eventually get to the other base, they encounter the general, the commander's boss. He commends the captain for having such a clever child and expresses his own admiration for the youngster's desire. Their division receives a guard's flag the following day, and the boy also receives one. He pledges to defend his country when the commander gives him his badge. The commander is imprisoned beneath the ruins after their base is ruthlessly attacked one night. Sergei wants his father to be saved while sobbing for him. The other troops respond to his request by bringing out the leader. The following day, Sergei approaches the commander who is hurt. While attempting to save the commander, he suffers hand injuries. The youngster is now an essential member of the group. The unit is shown relocating to a different base as the film comes to a close. He even took part in the Battle of Stalingrad, and he traveled to Poland with the army according to a narration in the background. He is today recognized as the youngest soldier in history, and the epic tale of his bravery is being told to the entire world.